Good morning, everyone. I hope this finds you well and living your best life in Jesus Christ. As I'm recording this, I have just come in a few moments ago from cutting our grass and our neighbor's grass. I like cutting grass, especially since I'm blessed to have a riding mower. It's nice to get out and do something that you know needs to be done, and it gives me time to ponder things I don't normally have time to think about, such as why we cut grass at all. Nowadays, people generally cut their grass so they can have a nice looking lawn, and that's great. But when I was growing up on the mountain, we cut grass for an entirely different reason, and it can be boiled down into one word: snakes, specifically copperheads. If you're raised in the country, then you understand how important it is to keep the grass, especially near the house, cut. Snakes love to have nice tall grass to hide in and just seem to be waiting for someone to stumble across them. And their natural camouflage makes them really difficult to spot, especially for someone like me. I keep the grass cut here for the same reason. Landry's a little guy, and he loves to play in the yard like most kids. I don't want him to run across a dangerous snake that's hidden in the grass. The scripture describes our enemy, Satan, as a snake, or more specifically, a serpent. Snakes love to hide and camouflage themselves. If you go to the zoo, sometimes it's hard to even find them in their cages unless you happen to recognize their markings. They hide until they can find the most opportune moment to strike on their prey. And they always seem to find the most vulnerable spot to bite so that they can deliver the most of their poisonous venom. The legendary preacher Charles Spurgeon once said, "Discernment is not simply a matter of telling the difference between what is right and wrong. Rather, it is the difference between right and almost right." Well, you may say, what do these two things have in common? Well, often the question of whether something is right or wrong it can be easily answered quickly. But sometimes we're faced with a much more difficult discernment, the difference between right and almost right. In 2 Corinthians 11, 3 and 4, Paul describes it this way: "But I am afraid that just as Eve was deceived by the serpent's cunning, your minds may somehow be led astray from your sincere and pure devotion to Christ. For if someone comes to you and preaches a Jesus other than the Jesus we preached, or if you receive a different spirit from the Spirit you received, or a different gospel from the one you accepted, you put up with it easily enough." The Bible identifies our enemy Satan as a serpent, and just like the ones in the zoo, he loves to camouflage himself, and he does it extremely well. He very seldom approaches us directly, but rather stealthily, disguised as something good. Satan knows that the Lord has given us authority over him, so he has to seek ways in which we fail to recognize him. He knows that defending ourselves would be much easier if he just came out and said, "I'm here and I hate you." No, he doesn't work that way. He lurks in the background in unsuspecting places, waiting for an opportunity to steal or kill or destroy. And much of the time, we don't really realize that he's there until we find ourselves in the midst of an attack. And what is his camouflage? Well, in my experience, his camouflage is looking as much like a good guy as he can, so that we'd never suspect his true nature and intentions. This is why I quoted Spurgeon, who gives us advice about discernment between right and almost right, and why the Lord himself told us in Matthew 10:16, "Be wise as serpents." As I said earlier, one of the best ways to be able to see a snake in the grass is to keep the grass cut. Regular maintenance is important. It's the key. You don't wait until the grass is as high as your house to cut it. If you do, you're liable to run into anything I ought to know. In the same way, one of the best ways to be able to learn to discern the difference between right and almost right is regular maintenance. Don't give Satan a chance to hide or a place to hide and camouflage himself, especially in your mind and your life. This is why regular Bible study and prayer are so important. They're great ways to keep your mind focused on the things of God every day and to help you discern Satan in all of his devious forms, no matter how he might hide himself or disguise himself to look more attractive. We need to pray that God will give us discernment, to pray that we'll become skilled in discerning our enemy's camouflage, and remembering that the Bible refers to him many times as coming as, quote, "a minister of righteousness," or, quote, "an angel of light," who knows how to blend into our world and to look and talk like our friend. And we need to make sure we don't go by feelings alone. We have to be careful of people who flatter us. We know that the Lord, through prayer and the Lord's rich word, will dwell in us and fill us with His Spirit. The thing is that we want to be well defended against this subtlety of the serpent, especially in this day and age when there seems to be all kinds of snakes in the grass. I hope you make today a terrific day, and I want you to know that I'm here if you need me, and I love you all.